Hey, are you looking to have a grape time this weekend? Well, you can in Naples, and we'll be learning all about it in a moment on this week's version of the State of Greater Western New York report, which is brought to you by...
Our community makes history. Each week, you make history. And each week, there's only one source to turn to for the first take on history. You know what that is? Subscribe to the Sentinel right now to discover the history being made in your own backyard.
The Linden Honey Falls Lima Sentinel. More than just your news, it's your history. Welcome, everyone, to this edition of the State of Greater Western New York report. Join us each episode as we discuss fantastic topics ranging from history to science to the strange and the wonderful, as well as the treasured spirit with which our region has infused America. We challenge you to consider all things Greater Western New York, from our region's very beginnings to how it inspires, how it empowers, and why it is so admired. Here's the host of the State of Greater Western New York report, Chris Carosa.
Hi there, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the State of Greater Western New York report. We're here every Thursday, live at noon, or maybe every Wednesday at 7:30. We haven't decided yet. We might be changing the time. This week, we've got a very special guest. His name is Mike Joseph, and he's going to be telling us all about the Naples Grape Festival. But before we get to that, Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do in real life, and how did you get involved with this festival thing?
Well, I grew up in Naples, and I actually have not lived there for almost 25 years. I live about 40 minutes away, but my insurance business is there. I just retired after 25 years of that. But I've been extremely involved in Naples on many different angles, not to do with work. Tourism, Naples Rotary Club, Visitors Association, and I'm still very involved in those things in Naples. I love Naples, and it's a great little town, and I love to promote it. I've been involved with the Naples Grape Festival for 21 years. I've been the volunteer chairman for 21 years. It is run by the Naples Rotary Club in cooperation with the Naples Historical Society. It is a fundraiser, and I'm also the music director for 14 years along with that. So there's a festival committee and there's an executive director, and our festival, we have to point out the official Grape Festival location, but we'll do that in a little while, because if you drive into Naples on this Saturday and Sunday, the 25th and 26th, you're going to see a town of village actually that has normally about 1,200 people in it, but there's going to be 20 or 30,000 people each day there. So it's quite an event.
It sounds like a lot of fun, and I remember years ago my aunt went there. She was from California, and she was so excited to see it. She bought a grape pie, and we all had it for dessert that dinner. So it's a great thing. It's a great time. The weather's going to be great as far as I know, and it should be fun. Well, tell us a little bit about the history of the festival. When did it start, and maybe why did it start?
Yeah, well, actually this year is the 60th anniversary of the beginning of the festival. So 1961 is when it started, and it was put together to celebrate the harvest, specifically the grape harvest. Naples has one of the oldest wineries, then called Windmill Winery, and there were grapes everywhere. That has changed somewhat, but the winery has a different name now, but actually two other wineries also. But you can see in the picture, we used to have a parade. I remember growing up going to the Grape Festival parade. We don't any longer have that. So the festival went on in the 60s and in the 70s, and at some point, I'd say about 1980, the festival kind of got out of hand. People were sleeping in lawns. That was kind of that hippie time. It just was out of control, basically, and so they stopped it. And it was probably for most of the 80s. I know it came back in 1991. The Historical Society brought it back, and then the Rotary Club joined them to help because of the amount of volunteerism that goes into it. Um, and then at a certain point here, the Rotary Club became the lead player along with the Historical Society, somewhat for liability reasons because Rotary clubs have a national insurance policy that covers fundraising, large fundraisers like this. So, and that brings us up to now. This year's our 60th year. Of course, last year we missed it, like most everyone missed everything. So we're glad to be back. I think it's going to be super busy this year.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it will be because people are going to want to get out. It's a great time of year for something like this, and even the drive down or around to Naples is going to be a great drive. Tell us what you know about the Naples Historical Society and maybe how their involvement evolved over the years.
Well, they are very active in Naples right now, and they have good numbers. And actually, so does our Rotary Club. Who, for a small town, having 55 members is pretty darn good. But the Historical Society owns four properties in Naples, and so this fundraiser is extremely important to them to obviously up, upkeep insurance, taxes, and whatnot like that. They actually have a, a museum that's open a couple weekends in the summertime usually, um, and some other properties that they want to develop. And they have a huge collection, pretty impressive collection of Naples regalia and old signs and stuff. So this is located, all that stuff is in this building called the Red Mill. And if you go in there, it's just, I mean, even if you don't like history, there's just so much interesting things in there. That's all I can really say about it. But they're a great organization.
So tell us about Rotary's involvement. You said that they got involved this last time around when it restarted after the the hippie
Yeah,
era
I
of the
yep.
80s.
It, I don't know what it was in '91, but what it's become is 250 volunteer hours in the course of 3 days. And at the time, the Historical Society, they didn't own all the properties. I think they maybe, I don't even know if any at that time, but um, they were smaller and we were smaller. I think 5, 6 years ago, our Rotary Club was 38 people. It's grown a lot in the last handful of years. And of course, the Historical Society is getting more and more active in purchasing properties. They have also, but it took more than just one small organization to do it, to develop it. So it's again, it was their thing, and they are still in the volunteer force here and everything. But it became apparent that for insurance purposes, it was very to be the lead player.
So tell me about how the people of Naples look forward to this annual event. How do they prepare for it, and what do they do to encourage people from all around to come and have fun in Naples during this great
Right.
weekend?
Well, I will say that there are some people who leave every weekend for the Grape Festival. They don't want to be there. It is a very busy weekend, and some people can enjoy that. Believe it or not, some businesses don't enjoy it. Some of the restaurants, smaller ones and stuff, just there's so much food in Naples that weekend. I think there's on our grounds alone 25 food truck slash vendors of all kinds, and then there are other food vendors throughout the village. Um, so folks, they rent out their lawns. Most of them do to at least a couple vendors. I think they make enough money to pay their taxes by renting out their lawn and stuff. So, at this point, I'd like to point out that our festival, the Naples Grape Festival, the fundraiser part that I've been talking about with the Rotary Club and Historical Society, is in this small section in the middle of town that is at the high school. And across the street at the Memorial Town Hall, which is this big, majestic uh, brick building. It's not used, but it is a beautiful building. You can't miss it. And so that's where our little area um, is the original official Naples Grape Festival. But when you drive into town, you can't tell. And I would say, like I say, 20 to 30,000 people, depending on the year, come to the festival. Probably 5,000 people can fit on our festival grounds at any one time. And we figure it turns over a few times. So literally, tens of thousands of people never really get to our little area. The reason being is, yes, there's lawns, but also there's two wineries right on Main Street, and they both have big parties going on and live music and everything. Um, there's other stores, other establishments that will have bands, serve beer outside and stuff like that. It is there's a lot going on, and so I kind of get how they don't make it to our grounds sometimes.
Well, you mentioned the town hall. How is the town participating in this? What do they do to support it? And is it something that they actually build into their calendar of events? When I say the town, I mean the town government. I'm
Hmm.
sort of interested in how they work together with Rotary and Historical Society to promote the event.
Well, every year we have to petition the board to use the grounds. We have a adult beverage tasting area that we have to ask every year for permission because there are so many alcohol allowed on the grounds of this Memorial Town Hall where we are. Um, but they're very cooperative. They get that this keeps us on the map. Um, Naples Grape Festival is the number one festival in the Finger Lakes in Ontario County. Um, so they help out. They help out a lot. They put out porta johns to keep the businesses sheltered from people needing to use those. I mean, we have a lot of them down at our festival grounds, but the rest of the town, if you're not in a restaurant or a bar or whatever, then you're kind of looking for a place to use the restroom. It's difficult. So they're great about it. They're great about it. They know. Again, it keeps us on the map.
One more question before our break, and that is going back to when you remember it as a kid. What was the thing that struck you most, again, as a kid? And what do you see in today's kids that come and participate or engage in the Grape Festival that sort of like bridges that gap, that's similar to what you experienced?
Well, I remember the parade. I remember sitting on the curb and watching the parade go by, and one of those one of the floats was, I forget what they're called, but a big organ was really loud. I just I do remember that probably plugging my ears. Um, Unfortunately, we don't have a parade anymore, and um, it evolved, and everything has to change or it dies. But the festival is crowded. Um, Parents who bring their kids get grape everything, grape ice cream, grape tarts, grape cookies, grape pies, as you mentioned. Um, Grape pies, of course, it's a Naples thing that started back in the 60s. Um, we sell 60,000 grape pies a year in Naples, not just on this Grape Festival weekend, but in the fall. And actually, there's three pie bakers that are year round. So they freeze the contents of the pie and are able to serve them year round most of the time. Um, so I think it's more about the food and the fun like that. Music, I think most kids like the music, sitting with the family, having a little bite to eat, watching live music. So it's super festive.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike. And stay tuned, folks. Mike is going to tell us about some of the specific events that are going to be happening at this year's festival, which is this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, the 25th and 26th. Right, Mike? Do I have the dates
Yep,
right?
that's
Yeah.
correct. Yep, yep.
So we'll be right back after this message.
Through the mists of time, nature and man have both created and buried treasures beyond the imagination. With the ages, these riches slowly dissolve into mere myths till they are forever forgotten. But there are those brave souls who tirelessly cling to the truth, ever seeking to discover the undiscovered, to reveal what has always been there, to uncover the hidden gems of a land thought forsaken but loved by millions. 50 Hidden Gems of Greater Western New York. Discover the secrets in your own backyard. Buy your copy now at 50hiddengems.com.
Welcome again. You're watching the State of Greater Western New York report. I'm Chris Carosa, your host, and with us today is Mike Joseph, who's going to tell us more about the annual Naples Grape Festival. So we had a question from the audience, Mike, right off the bat, and this is actually a very practical question, and that is, hey, I like going to this place. I want to go to this place. Where do I park? So
Okay. Well, you can poke around town and find places on side streets, but we also have a lot in front of Hazlitt Winery on Lake Niagara Lane and a bus shuttle runs from that lot, and it comes right down to the center of our festival. Get out and you can go right or left. You get out of the street. You're in the Naples Grape Festival. It's very convenient. It's $5 for a carload, so I would recommend that. I would also recommend to everybody come early, and by early, I pretty much no later than 11 a.m., 11:30. Traffic coming into Naples heavy. If it's a busy day, which I anticipate it's going to be, and the weather's supposed to be pretty nice, I think, and we didn't have the festival that cheap. We'll come. Get there early so you don't have to sit in traffic, because it happens. Also, I would encourage people to look at a map versus just follow your phone. Do a little research, maybe go on and look. There's 7 ways in and out of Naples, and just put it in your phone like we like to do these days. I get it, but you're going to be going with thousands of other people who are also putting it into the phone. You can get creative on how to get into Naples. There are ways into the back streets, basically, where you don't ever have to go on Main Street if you don't. Okay, so, and looking at this map, just FYI, it says Naples Grape Festival in green there. It's actually a little further down, more by the post office. If you do want to put it into your phone, it's 137 North Main Street, Naples, New York, 14512. Oh, and there's handicap parking, by the way, on Academy Street, right next to the high school, so it's fairly close to the
So what are some of the special events that we've got cooking this weekend?
Well, we have our annual World's Greatest Grape Pie Contest. Naples is all about the grape pie, and so everybody likes to try their hand at it. A lot of people do. Many times we'll have well over 30 pies entered into the contest, and it happens on Saturday of the festival. Starting from 10 to 12, bakers show up with their pie, and it's put in a container with a number underneath it. It's anonymous at that point. And then at noon, we have judging. Judging is usually held outside, and you can watch it. They cut up a piece of pie and put it on a plate, and we have 4 or 5 teams of 2 judges tasting them, and they have a criteria sheet of taste, presentation, other things like that, and they get a score basically, and we end up with a first, second, third, and fourth place pie. There's a plaque for the first place. This contest is always sponsored by Joseph's Wayside Market, which has been an open air market and gift area. Great place to visit also. They've been there for 65 years. So they sponsor this pie contest every year. It's pretty neat, and a lot of the pies are beautiful. If you could look at the Naples Grape Festival Facebook page, and there's pies in the photos there, and some of them depict the Finger Lakes. Some have grapes molded into the not molded, but grapes in the dough. They make designs in the dough. A lot of them are really pretty cool looking pies. So that is one thing that will be going on this year, as it always does. Also, we have, by the way, that takes place in front of the Memorial Town Hall. I keep saying that, the Memorial Town Hall. Again, our official festival is there at this beautiful building and across the street of the high school. You really can't miss it if you're driving through town. Um, we also have an adult, yeah, there's a nice pie. That's one of my favorite. Um, we have an adult beverage tasting area, craft beverages, including wine and brew, cider, and distilling. There's 11 vendors in there this year, and which is also in front of the Memorial Town Hall, if I didn't say that. Um, it's $15 for adults to get in there and do some tasting and stuff like that. Of course, you have to be 21, bring proof of that. We got to everybody. And we're also checking for vaccinations, although you can still go in if you're not vaccinated. We're just following CDC guidelines for our festival. Our vendors, everybody like that is getting checked. And basically, if they're not vaccinated, we're asking them to wear a mask. Just follow CDC guidelines.
How about music? I know that you've got bands coming in. Where do they come from? How do you find them? And when are they playing?
Okay. Yeah. So for 14 years, I've been the music director. I'm a musician. Um, and we're one of the few festivals that I know of. I don't know any others, to be honest, but I'm sure there probably is some that we do original music. Because the Naples Grape Festival is a juried art show, and it's always been about art. It gets harder and harder to get the artists to come out when to festivals, but there's a couple of them in the area, and we try our best to get them to come. And so the music, we like to be original too, just like the art. Um, we have a nice purple stage there. We have 3 or 4 acts each day, and this is the normal times. So not having had the festival last year, um, it hurt both of the organizations, fundraising. Obviously, and so this year it's kind of like we, we had to cut some corners. And music is a pure expense. It's free. Anybody can walk behind the Memorial Town Hall to where that purple stage is and watch any of the music they want. And you can bring a chair and sit there the whole weekend if you want. But it is a pure expense as far as a fundraising thing. So I had to cut some corners this year. Uh, we still have some great original music. Um, I have 6 acts. Um, 3 of them are singer-songwriters, soloists, and then I have some bands also there. On Saturday at 2:30, I have a blues band from Buffalo, blues rock band called the Growlers Blues Band, uh, and I'm sure they're going to rock the place for a couple hours. And then prior to that, I have a couple soloists that I'm really going to enjoy also. We have a picnic area back there in front of that tent. There are some eateries back there, or you can go through our whole food court over at the high school and bring your food over and sit. There'll be straw bales sitting out and about that you can sit on and enjoy the music back there as long as you want to. Um, and Sunday also, the music is 11 to 4:30 each day. And I guess that's about it.
Hmm.
You can see a schedule, by the way. You can see everything I'm talking about on our website and the Facebook page, Naples Grape Festival Facebook page. The website's very complete, and that's naplesgrapefest.org. So you can see the music schedule. You can see more information about the pie contest, rich tasting area, the maps, the entire festival. A lot of people who come every year, they look for certain vendors. And so there's maps out there if you've been and you remember buying something there. Um, people shouldn't get confused if they ask me if they bought something and I look and it's not on our official festival grounds. Well, you probably bought it in front of a house someplace out there on Main Street on either side. And again, we have nothing to do with that. It just happens um, all around us in Naples. So I asked, and we asked that try to make it to the official festival where our vendors pay to be there. They're part of our fundraising, and eat their food and support them and watch our music because it's all over the village again. But this festival here is Memorial Town Hall and it's high school.
All right, Mike, thanks very much. And we have time for a couple more questions. If we have them from the audience, please put them in the chat room. In the meantime, Mike, what this is more of a current kind of question, and is what was the feeling last year when you couldn't have a festival? What did people think? What did people say? Start with that, and then move into this year when you can finally have one. And is there more excitement as a result?
Yeah, I mean, we went all the way up to August last year thinking we were going to have it. We just said we're going to proceed as usual. We're not going to pull the cord on it until we have to pull the cord on it. And it became evident to the town and the village governments in August that okay, this is now you're pulling the plug on it. I expected that. I went along with it. And, did the do. I actually didn't hire much music. I just didn't think it was going to happen anyways. So it was okay. Naples, a small town, like I said, 1,200 people, and inviting 20,000 people in there last year, nobody wanted that. Nobody wanted that. We didn't really have too many issues with COVID. We were a fairly safe community. So everybody's super excited, I think, this year to have it. And because we didn't have it last year, so everybody in town is really looking forward to it. I'd also like to mention Naples website. Naples is a great place all fall, all year round. It's a cute town. It's got great farm-to-table eateries, 3 wineries, 2 breweries, a distillery that also has an excellent restaurant, shopping, art gallery, a theater, 18-hole golf course, 18-hole disc golf course. I mean, it's a great place to go and stroll around. So come back this fall and enjoy it. The foliage is barely started, and our website is visitnaplesny.com. And you can see everything there to plan your day or your days or your week. Come on down to Naples. Visit naplesny.com.
We just got a question from somebody who said, how much does a pie cost? I don't know if you know that answer, but somebody wanted to know.
Yeah. They're probably about $15 each.
All right. Well, Mike, thank you very much for being on the show today. It was really great to talk to you and learn more about the Naples Grape Festival. Lots of fun things to do. I know that it's probably going to be really crowded. That's my prediction right now. And if you're watching the replay of this at 1:30 on Sunday, you're late. You can watch us later. Go to the festival. Have some pie. It's a great time. If you don't wanna wait to watch it on replay, then definitely sign up to get the private invitation to see the show live when it airs at the midweek on either Wednesday or Thursday. You can go to this site, stateof.greaterwesternnewyork.com, Greater Western New York all spelled out. Go there, sign up, and you will get a private invitation with the link to see this show every week. And with that, again, Mike, thank you very much, and thank you, everybody out there in the audience listening to us. We will see you all next week.